The guy's like looking at the shadows and he's like, "Do you see a man with hooks?" And then it
Mhm.
cuts to a man with hooks. Wow. I did not realize this was the same director as the second movie.
Yeah, he also did Homeward Bound too. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
This
interesting.
guy's I'm not sure this guy knows what kind of movies he wants to make.
No, he's just trying to get money.
Yeah, he's just out here trying to get paid.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a pact. We're gonna call it Final Destination 4.
Okay.
Okay. Whenever we refer to it on this show.
Okay. I think in a lot of other films, you'd realize that like the fact that no one survives is really pretty nihilistic.
Yeah.
But there's still something light enough about the tone in these where it doesn't feel like there's no hope. And so I think, yeah, finding a way for it to still feel hopeful, even though everyone's going to die, is pretty clever.
Yeah.
You think somehow these like two scimitars, which is like why those are right over, and you have all the meatheads kind of like, yeah, yeah. And then the things go, and he's like, fuck that. And then the two, wham. What's up, and welcome to the Anatomy of Fear. We are excited to be with you tonight. It is the 31st of May of 2025. This is Brandon, and as always, and I start every episode the same way. With me, as always, is my podcasting life mate, Alan. Alan, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, buddy.
Oh, fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Because last time you were just doing okay, which is a
Yeah.
perfectly fine thing to say. But
You know, it's funny. My coworker also notices whenever I don't say fantastic.
hmm,
Like if I don't say fantastic, she thinks there's something wrong. So I have to say fantastic every time now. Otherwise,
okay.
people worry.
Yeah, even though okay is a good ranking. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it, man.
yeah.
We're going to be talking Final Destination.
Yeah, that is the
This
word.
this beautiful franchise. Let me
Uh
just say,
yeah, and I will say like I remember I saw the first Final Fantasy in the theater. I don't know if you did. And I
Final Destination, you mean?
oh yeah, I said Final Fantasy. Wow.
That's
Clearly played too many
be,
video games.
tread carefully there, sir.
Yeah, very very different, very different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
so
also saw the first Final Fantasy in the theaters.
okay, thank you. Good. We're keeping all that shit in too. No, I just rewatching him now, it made me realize like how much I enjoy just like kind of the creativeness of some of these films. Because even Saw and a lot of other films from the time and Hostel and this and like they were getting into these really kind of creative off the wall kills, and I just the design that they put into figuring out like this Rube Goldberg machine of like how these events trigger another event. What a great franchise, man. Not that there isn't some real low points in it, but overall, like, I would rather watch this all the way through than a lot of other franchises.
Yeah, it's a very consistent franchise with one exception, and we all know the exception. But it's like very consistent. You know,
Hmm.
it's you kind of know what you're getting when you watch these movies. Like some of them are lighter in tone than others, but like they're pretty much, there's a formula, and like a lot of slasher movies have formulas, or a lot of slasher franchises have formulas too, so you kind of know what you're getting.
Hmm.
Um, so that's really cool about this franchise. Apparently, the one linchpin is this Craig Perry, who's the producer. He was a producer on all of them so far,
Okay.
and I
Oh,
think he's the only creative person that was involved in all of them, if
okay.
you don't count Tony Todd. Um,
Yeah, which we will, when we get to the new one, have a little Tony Todd discussion because
yeah,
that was hard. Hard
heartbreaking.
to, yeah, it really was, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get there.
Well, do you want to just jump into the non-spoiler review of the new one?
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't you hit us with a little synopsis?
Actually, I'll do that one later, like when we go through the movies.
Okay.
Um, I just want to give like kind of first thoughts.
Okay.
Um,
Shoot.
Holy crap. I feel like this movie knows exactly what the franchise is. It knows exactly what it wanted to be. Um, it subverted expectations. I feel like that was the one thing they wanted to do is they wanted to subvert your expectations at every turn. And it's like
Hmm.
from the very beginning, you know. And again, this is a non-spoiler review. We're gonna go into all of these later, but for right now, we just want to give like our first thoughts to people who are just, jumping in here. But yeah, that was probably the thing I liked the most about it. I mean, the kills were great. It was very fun. The tone was great. Um, the scenarios that they created were kind of clever. I thought some of the like there were a couple of really big gaping plot holes in my opinion where
Hmm.
I'm just kind of like, how are you going to explain that? Oh, you're not going to explain that. Okay, got it. Like, that kind of stuff, but that's also kind of par for the course for this franchise a little bit, where it's just kind of you got to kind of go with it.
Sure.
But there were some pretty good performances. I will say that I kept thinking that the lead was Jenna Ortega, but it's not.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
I'm like,
Mhm.
and I knew that. I knew that the whole time I'm watching it, and I'm like, no, that's no, that's still not her. No, no, she just looks so similar.
No, no, she doesn't look similar. Very
I think
different.
so.
No, very different
I think
human.
so.
No,
Okay.
no.
Anyways, that's my take. I thought it was a very entertaining film. I saw it with my brother in the theater, and yeah, I enjoyed it.
Cool. I will echo all those things except Jenna Ortega. No,
I don't know why. I just kept thinking that.
dude, nothing
Like I know
like.
I knew it wasn't her. I'm
Okay,
just saying she looks
okay.
very similar. I feel
No,
like
yeah, no, no. Let's do a poll. We'll throw a little, because in Spotify you can add in a little poll. No, I had a blast with it. I didn't know what to expect because I mean we'll kind of get into like a quick ranking on them. I think the most recent one was the Final Destination, which I think is kind of consistently ranked as the worst in the franchise. So I didn't know what to expect for this one, and I had a blast with it. It was just, yeah, fun kills. I think the characters there were some likable characters in it. I like going way back in time, and I don't know. Actually, I'll kind of stop talking details there, but yeah, really, I mean, just enjoyable, super fun kills. They the fact that these films span, I mean, how when was the first one? That was 2000, so 25 years. And they managed to keep some of those same formulaic things as and again, there's that little consistent with the producer, but still, like how cool is that, man? Because we'll see franchises that are only like a couple of years apart and they can't have any they feel completely different. And so, yeah, that is my kind of quick little review about it. But yeah, fun movie, man. Didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
yeah, me either. It seems like the critics really liked it too. I think it's got like 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the
Oh,
best that
that's
any
good. Wow.
Final Destination movie has. At least last I looked at it. So
Huh. That's pretty good.
yeah.
That's cool.
Do you want me to kick off with the first one?
We can rock, paper, scissors for it.
Well, I've got a little handy dandy synopsis here ready for each of these bad boys.
All right. Why don't you do the synopsis and then you kick us off with the first one.
Yeah, because we don't usually do synopsises for these movies because we're usually ranking them and we want to like talk more about our rankings and stuff. But this time we're probably just going to go through them one at a time and kind of just talk about each movie as we go through them, and then rank them at the end. So that's kind of what we're going to do. So the first one, I also watched this in the theater, by the way. I was a projectionist when this movie came out, and it was pretty dope getting to see it in the theater. Before 9/11, got to point that out. 9/11 did not happen yet when this movie came out.
But yeah, because it was probably what filmed in 98 or 99, probably too.
Yeah, it came out in 2000, so.
Yeah.
So, Final Destination, the first one, stars Devon Sawa, Ali Larder, and Tony Todd, and starts with a student named Alex having a premonition that his plane is going to crash and kill him and his classmates who are traveling to France. He ends up saving six other people, including his teacher. The authorities think he might be involved, but they don't have any proof, so they let him go. And 39 days later, the students begin to die one by one. We meet franchise icon William Bloodworth, played by Tony Todd, who's a mortician who explains the rules to them. He says you can't cheat death's design. Then the others are killed off one by one. The last three believe they are safe, but in the final scene that takes place in Paris a year later, death comes for them too. So, uh, yeah, what are your first thoughts,
Yeah,
Brandon?
yeah. I mean, I will still say this is a movie. Anytime I think if I'm flipping around and I see it on, I'll watch it. Um, it's a popcorn comfort kind of film at this point now. Um, yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the 9/11 thing too, because I think about like trips that I took before 9/11 and how like yeah, I mean you could make jokes on planes and you could do you remember being able to walk up to a terminal and not going through security and how lax it was and everything changed?
We didn't really travel much when I was a kid.
Okay.
I think we traveled on a plane once when I was a kid, and I don't really remember it that much.
Okay, gotcha. It just kind of reminded me of what it was like to travel way back then. But yeah, I mean, at the time, I mean, Ali Larder was, she was the hot star, at that time because she'd done Varsity Blues and a couple other things like that. Yeah, I mean, it was a good cast. It was fun. I forgot that Stifler was in this movie.
You're right.
And
Yep.
he's still Stifler. Sean William Scott is still Stifler in basically every single movie he's been in. But no, I mean, I think I'll always love this movie. It's just it's a kind of comfort kind of film for me. And again, at that time, we got a lot of these movies with these kind of creative deaths and stuff. So I don't know. It's a fun movie. When rewatching a little bit, it makes me realize like how kind of ugh, the '90s were a rough time, man. Like for the way we dressed and the way we act and the haircuts and all that stuff. Not a great time for fashion for sure. Um,
Yeah, they do look kind of goofy, especially the main character. He looks like just so dorky.
the hair, because I remember a lot of people had. I think I'm sure I had hair like that at some point where it's like all pushed forward and then kind of like whoosh. So yeah, no, I mean I still love the movie. Do you have a favorite kill from the first one?
I kind of think that the teacher probably that the when the teacher her
Miss
house is like
Miss
burning
Luton?
and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I like that kill because it's very suspenseful because like he shows up at first and then he gets taken away by the authorities and but they can't keep him so they let him go and you're not quite sure if he's going to show up in time to save her or maybe he's going to show up and cause the death. You don't really know. Like it's just
Hmm.
it created a lot of suspense there. The school bus or the bus one was pretty shocking, one where
Hmm.
she's like yelling at him and saying, "You could just drop dead." Boom.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Um,
good.
so like this movie is interesting. Like whenever I rewatch it now, I keep noticing how like dark in tone it is, except at certain moments when it's like hilarious.
Hmm.
And so it's like one of those movies where, like, unlike other movies in the franchise, it has this interesting balance where it's mostly dark. It's mostly a dark movie. It's got dark,
Hmm.
foreboding music and very sinister. I feel like the premonition sequence in this one is probably one of the best in the franchise. Maybe not,
Hmm.
maybe even the best because it's just there's so much uh suspense. Like there's
Hmm.
so many different things that he's noticing, like he's noticing the tickers flipping around and
Oh,
you
yeah.
can tell that something's wrong and he can see that something's wrong and it really just gets you into the story like right away. And then his reaction when he wakes up from the premonition, I think is
Hmm.
one of the best executions of that moment where like he wakes up and then he just literally loses his shit on this plane, and he's sweating and he's just like panicking. Like I feel like in other episodes of the franchise that I feel like you lose that,
Mhm.
where that sense of panic.
Sure.
Um, so I think that was done really well,
Mhm.
and the last scene where you get that one little that
Mhm.
one little fun kill at the very end, just to kind of send you into the credits, is kind of fun.
You know,
So
what's interesting? Yeah, I mean, this is the one that set the formula for all these films, right? But
yeah,
what's interesting is most people, I think, when they're thinking of Final Destination, they don't think of this one. They think of the second film because of the logging truck. I think
yeah,
that is probably what people think of the most of Final Destination. Because to this day, even like Joey, who hasn't seen any of these movies, he knows about the logging truck and you shouldn't drive behind. And because he knows it's from Final Destination, well, no, it's actually from Final Destination 2. Um, so it's just, and I know a lot of people that know about the not driving behind a logging truck or like because I still like if I see a truck of lumber or logs or like metal pipes, I won't drive behind them. It's just, and it's because of this franchise. But yeah, it's interesting how like I think a lot of people associate that one, but it's really the second film.
that one's kind of new for me actually. Like I mostly just associate it with the airplane. Like it's in the title, Final
Hmm.
Destination.
Hmm.
So I figure most people associate it with the plane, but um, I think it was a very great start to the franchise. There's obviously a reason why they made more of them. What's your favorite kill?
Uh, I mean, I can't argue with the Miss Luton kill. That one's super fun. But I have a lot of love for Sean William Scott's kill. The license plate
Oh
cutting
yeah.
through the head. That I mean, because that one is just like what the like
It's
it
very
happens so
unexpected,
fast.
yeah.
Yeah, that so I think that one's a blast. I like
You
that
get
one.
away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Hmm.
Okay, on to the next one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, okay. A year after the events of the first film, a college student named Kimberly has a premonition that she and her friends are killed in a highway pileup caused by a logging truck. She saves herself along with everyone that would have gotten onto the highway, which includes a lottery winner and a pregnant woman, but she does not she doesn't save her friends. I forgot to put that in this. Um, when people in her premonition start getting killed, she visits Clear Rivers, played by Ali Larter, who introduces her to the mortician from the first movie. This time he says, only new life can defeat death. So they think that protecting the pregnant woman long enough for her to give birth might stop the cycle. We also learn that people cannot kill themselves if it's not in death's design when one of the survivors tries to shoot himself. Ultimately, Kimberly drowns herself and is revived, and this seems to end the cycle for her. But the film ends with a barbecue scene where a character that cheated death earlier in the film suddenly blows to bits. Um, I'll just start with that one. Great, probably the greatest ending of all the movies in the franchise. Like just that last scene, that last little scare at the very, very end.
What
Uh,
was it? Why can't I remember what it is?
the barbecue, where they're talking about the kid that got
Oh,
saved.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was awesome. No, that was yeah, that was a great ending. I forgot about that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that was a good
So
one.
when I saw this one, I actually thought it was like I don't remember like why, but like I didn't really like it that much when it came out.
Mm.
Maybe it's because I was expecting something more similar in tone to the first one, but this one just seemed kind of ridiculous. And it is ridiculous, but you
Mhm.
got to kind of know going into it that um it's just going to be ridiculous. Like the kills are a lot more elaborate in this
Mhm.
one,
Yeah.
and there's more kills. There's a lot more
Mhm.
kills. Um and and they kind of expand the mythology a little bit, like with the, oh, maybe if a baby's born, you can cheat death, and it's
Mhm.
like it just kind of feels like maybe they just threw that in there just to kind of move the ball forward a little bit.
Mhm.
But but yeah, it's lighter in tone, a lot more elaborate kills. Uh, I have dismemberment by fence. That's probably
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, when it explodes and flies through the air, and yeah.
not too many movies have a dismemberment by fence, um, but yeah,
Uh, you know what kill I like from that one too is with Kat when she's stuck in the car and she goes to light her cigarette and you're like you expect that she's gonna like like she's gonna catch on
light it
fire.
on fire. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, it's the airbag that
yep.
kills her, and so that one there was
That's
just
my
that
that
was
is my
fun.
favorite from this movie. The favorite kill from this movie because it's
Yeah.
so unexpected and it's just,
Hmm.
but it's so like I don't know, like normal,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like it's not elaborate. It's just oh shit.
Hmm.
Um, but it's kind of a twofer because like Death was setting up the other Death too, so it's like
Hmm.
kind of a cool one. Some people might pick the barbecue one as the best death from the
Yeah,
movie.
that I forgot all about. I mean, I rewatched it last week, and that's it just wasn't placing in my head. But yeah, I'd forgotten about that one. And then you're like, oh yeah, this kid escaped death, and then by not getting hit by the news van or whatever. So yeah, that was
And there's also the elevator scene where the chick gets beheaded
oh yeah, that was a good one.
by
Yeah,
the man with hooks.
yeah.
That was also kind of fun where he's like the guy's like looking at the shadows and he's like, "Do you see a man with hooks?" And then
Hmm.
it cuts to a man with hooks and
Yeah. I,
um
I felt like Clear's kind of them trying to bring her in, and then her death was kind of weird. I
yeah, it was
don't.
kind of anticlimactic a little bit.
Yeah.
Um but the stupidest one was probably the kitchen one and the towards the beginning where the
With
guy's just
the
like,
douchebag, the guy who takes off his shirt to like
yeah,
make some shitty ramen or something,
I'm
whatever
just
that.
like, how are you still alive? How has death eluded you until this moment?
Yeah, because
Like,
that, yeah, he is not a, yeah,
it's
he's,
almost like death was trying to kill him in all these different ways, and somehow he was eluding it.
yeah,
And he's like, God damn it, just die.
yeah. He's such a douchebag though. So it's like, yeah, when the ladder finally goes through his head, you're like, thank God, because that guy, yeah, that and the Rory guy too. Those guys are irritating me mainly just because that Rory guy's haircut. I can't deal with the weird. You know one the guy that's the fence guy, right?
No, no, he wasn't the douchebag. The douchebag was are you talking about the guy in the sports car? And,
They were both douchebags, I thought. Yeah, not
oh, fair.
yeah, because yeah, the douchebag with the fancy watch and it gets stuck, and then
Yeah.
the dude who does
Well, yeah, he's
cocaine.
the one that won the lottery,
Yeah, yeah,
apparently. It's a
yes, yeah,
little factoid that you miss unless you read the synopsis or pay attention.
yeah,
But I'm like, how did that guy win the lottery?
yeah.
Which also that's another thing that movie kind of introduces, which is luck.
Hmm.
I think luck was kind of a theme in the first movie a little bit, but
Hmm.
by having a character that won the lottery, it's kind of making it more pronounced that that is a theme. That here's a guy who just won the lottery and he's about to die.
Yeah,
um, but
yeah. I do like this one though. I think it's fun, and again, I think the logging truck, the log through the head of the cop was that's pretty iconic.
anything else on this one?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Alrighty. On to Final Destination 3. Film stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, which is
For those who
awesome.
haven't seen this in a long time, you may have forgotten that she's in this movie.
Hmm.
Um, she's a high school student named Wendy, uh, who has a premonition that she and her friends will be killed by a defective roller coaster. When the survivors start getting killed off, one of them tells Wendy about Flight 180 from the first film. She realizes that clues to everyone's death is hidden in photographs that she took the day of the roller coaster crash. After a climax involved a fireworks show, um, Wendy and two others survive, but 5 months later, all three of them wind up on a train together. Wendy has another premonition that the train is going to derail and kill them all, but after the premonition, she realizes it's too late to stop it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that last one's pretty dope. I just want to start by talking about Mary Elizabeth Winstead's performance in this movie.
Mhm.
Like this is one of the earlier films for her, and she's amazing.
Yeah, she's really good.
Like this is by far the darkest film in the franchise by tone. Um, and she
Yeah,
de definitely carries that.
100%. Yeah, I think her kind of like her agony and grief and fear around this whole thing is believable. I mean, she does a really good job in this one.
Yeah, I feel like in horror movies, like we're so caught up in watching a fun movie like the last movie, which is why maybe why I didn't like it as much because it's like, yeah, it's very fun to watch a fun like Cocaine Bear was my number one year.
I
Okay. Like
remember. Yeah.
I love fun horror movies, but like I also feel like this franchise set up the expectation that these were going to be a little bit darker and kind of twisted.
Hmm.
And so I didn't expect that the second one was going to be so light in tone, but this one is just like, no, we're going to get serious about this. Like we're going to have like like it's all going to be about death. It's going to be
Hmm.
like the death show.
Hmm.
And we're going to be having a whole like philosophical dis like I've actually read I came across academic papers about this movie specifically. And I'm like, I wouldn't expect this to be like worthy of a paper to be written about, but they're talking about how this is like the perfect post 9/11 movie. Like it captures the way the strange relationship we had with death after 9/11 happened and it takes it very seriously. And um but there are some funny moments in it too, so it kind of balances out. Like the tanning bed scene.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that was because it's like one, you're kind of excited to see these two obnoxious bitches die. But yeah, that one's and just yeah, and so the way that they set up like all the little things that have to happen in motion, and that the way they, for like the drink on top of here, and then the sun tanning lotion slowly oozing out, and then the adjusting of the temperature, and
Yeah.
I would love to see what it's like for what it's like when whoever's writing these movies, how do they come up with these? Because I mean, there's so many steps involved in these kills. Yeah,
Yeah,
some,
I did think about that sometimes throughout this franchise. Like, why doesn't any of these people just like have an aneurysm or something normal? Like,
hmm,
like people die from a lot of normal, like
yeah,
boring, and I know it's because it's a movie, but like,
hmm,
you know, these very elaborate there's a moment in this movie. It's one of my favorite moments where she's talking about like how what did she call it? Like she said it was sadistic, like how horrible it how mean it felt, like this the sense of death, the
hmm,
sense of impending death. I can't remember how she described it, but it was like it's almost like the kid from The Sixth Sense, how when he's describing I see dead people and he's just absolutely terrified and he's trying to like convey this idea of what it feels like to have this sense of death all around you.
hmm,
And I feel like there's several moments in this movie where she's asked to do that, where she's just like, this is, it's like death is all around and I feel it
hmm.
like encroaching on me. And I'm just like,
I
so
definitely think there's some, when we talked about the first one being like that, the tone of the film is a little darker, a little heavier, and then again more fun and kind of cheesy in the second one, and then you get a little bit more of it again in the third one. And I mean, the first and the third one were the same director too, so
yeah.
clearly he was trying to tell a little different story than the other guys were. Like he wanted it to be a little darker.
Yeah, you get a sense that he like had a lot of time to think about it and
Hmm.
like, bringing it back to like an amusement park, um, with a roller coaster that's called, I think it's called the Devil's Flight,
Yeah, I don't
like,
remember.
something like that. And there's this, like, I don't know. I just feel like death is, it really is. present all throughout the film.
Mhm.
And it's not just some dumb horror movie. Although this has, I think, the best death in the franchise. What do you think is the best death in this movie?
And this one for me, it's the nails.
Yeah.
How good was it as they keep going through, and it's like it's
And
very
she,
up, it's very up close and personal as
yeah.
these nails are going through her face and her hands, and what a
And she
great
and she kind
kill.
of whimpers too.
Yeah. It's
I'm
a,
just like, oh my God.
yeah, that well, yeah, this one had some great kills. I love the weight room one too, because you
Yeah.
think somehow these like two scimitars, which is like why those are right over, and you have all the meatheads kind of like, yeah, yeah, and then the things
Yeah.
go, and he's like, fuck that, and then the two wham, and then yeah, dude, the tanning bed is great too, and two with the tanning bed, like the camera's right on their face as they're burning alive. Like again, it was a very personal
Yeah.
kill. And so, similarity to the nail scene too, like they got very up close and personal with that.
Yeah.
Interesting though, too, this is the only one with boobs, right? This is the only boobs in the entire franchise, is when those two girls
I
die.
didn't realize that until you just said it.
Yeah. All right. I
Yeah.
mean, sorry folks,
That's a
spoiler
good
alert.
point.
I
That's a
look for
good point.
yeah.
Oh yeah, well we I think we've already established that we're going to be spoiling all of these movies moving forward. Um
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there was a bunch of good ones.
the weightlifting scene was weird for me because like everyone's just acting like the cartoon character version of a masculine man,
Totally. Yeah.
like just so over the top.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always think that like these movies are kind of commenting on middle class America and how like I don't know how like we surround ourselves with things that we think are going to improve our lives and make us better and happier, but it's just there's no point because it's death is going to come for all of us anyway.
yeah.
Um, but I also feel like the real innovation of this movie is in how it talks about the inevitability of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that this is the only one that involves photographs.
Mm-hmm.
So the clue to everybody's death really is in the pictures. So it's like it makes you think that like whereas in the other movies there was this sense of suspense, like maybe if they show up at the right time, they can stop it. But
Mm-hmm.
like in the grief cycle that's known as bargaining, right? Like maybe if I had done this thing or that thing,
Sure.
it wouldn't have worked out that way. But this is the only movie where it's just like, no, it was preordained. Like you may have cheated death once, but like he already knew that it's almost like he already knew
Mm-hmm.
like how you were going to die the second time. And there was
Yeah.
just no avoiding it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, um and that's actually what that academic paper was about. It was about how this is a movie that's reckoning with the fact that nobody ever survives these
Mm-hmm.
movies. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no way to survive them. Like this is just how these movies are set up and that's part of the formula. That's why we love these movies. But at the same time, if you really think about it, it's kind of messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Sure.
there's no way to survive. There's no way to outlive death. But like you can't be that on the nose with it because then there's no suspense. Because like
Mm-hmm.
if you already know they're gonna die, then we're just all sitting around watching people die and we already know they're gonna die. But I think with the photographs and the mystery of it, they kind of created a sense of suspense to it anyways, where it's like they don't know that that's what's really happening, that there's no that there's sense of inevitability to it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that's also why I love the nail gun scene so much because like the whole scene is the one guy explaining how ridiculous this all is,
Mm-hmm.
and then it ends with him being wrong
Yeah.
and losing his friend.
It's funny when you think like uh, I think in a lot of other films you'd realize that like the fact that no one survives is really pretty nihilistic. But
Yeah.
there's still something light enough about the tone in these where it doesn't feel like there's no hope. And so I think, yeah, finding a way for it to still feel hopeful, even though everyone's going to die, is pretty clever. Because, what, 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago, our favorite movies were very different. If you remember, mine was The Sadness, which you didn't like.
Yeah.
And then you loved, was
Speak
it
no evil.
Speak No Evil? And I couldn't stand that. Both, and I know one of the things with The Sadness that you, and including my son too, when he watched it too, he's like, it's so bleak. There's no hope. It's so nihilistic. But that's the entire tone of the film. Where you have something like this, where it is like, wait, there's hope. They're going to make it. They're going to figure out this formula, but no one does. They don't. So yeah, they're doing something which is pretty smart, I think, because if it was just very dark and dreary the entire time, there wouldn't be six of these movies because no one's gonna watch Martyrs 6 times, or well, I mean, you're not gonna watch if there was a Martyrs
Not in a
one
row,
and
anyway.
then a Martyrs two, and they all felt like shit, the entire time. Like you're not gonna get through them. So yeah, you have to do something with hope, and I think that's just there's something there. I'm sure there's some kind of psychological reason for that. If something that Young could explain to us and why, like, we continue to engage with these things. And it's got to be something with hope. I don't know. We need some Jordan Peterson in on this one, so I'm sure he'd have a explanation.
Yeah, I mean, years ago, I wrote something about the why people love horror movies, and one of them was catharsis. There's a sense of like when we see horrible things happen to other people on screen, it's like you're living that out so you don't have to, and
Hmm.
there's like a sense of release to it. So like when you watch people in a franchise like this, where it's like there is no hope for these people getting out alive, that's also true for you.
Hmm.
But just don't think about it too much
Yeah,
or it'll freak you out.
yeah. I will say I thought the ending of this one was. I thought the train derailment thing was kind of. I didn't like that very much.
Mm, I kind of like, well, that gets back to the inevitability thing where she has a premonition about it,
Mhm.
but when she wakes up, like there's always a moment where she can like stop it, but like she wakes up this time and there's no way of stopping it this time.
Because they're on this thing that's not going to be able to stop. There's nothing you can do
Yeah.
about it. Then all of a sudden, what's his one dude shows up and there's the sister, and it's like, well, time to clean house. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I actually I disagree with you. I loved it for that reason because it's like death like the death ordained this too. And I don't know why like she would have gotten a premonition and not be able to do any maybe that's just some sadistic, lesser god or something that did that or whatever, but I don't know. It was just I thought it was a very inventive way to end the film because like you're ending the film without undermining the whole point you were making with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just I don't know. I loved it. Okay.
All righty.
Um, moving on to Final Destination 4. I refuse to
Yes.
call it the Final Destination. I think that's stupid that they called it that. I'm just going to call it Final Destination 4
Well,
because
I mean, with the acting that they had, the fact that they made two more after this is pretty impressive.
yeah, it's yeah. Well, anyways, this was the first one in 3D, I believe.
Yeah, we can tell.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So, college student Nick has a premonition that he and his friends will be killed at a racetrack and ends up saving several people. Death starts killing the survivors one by one, like in the other films, and Nick realizes what's happening. Eventually, Nick has another premonition that everyone's going to be killed in a movie theater, and he narrowly manages to prevent it. But the film ends with the last three survivors getting hit by a truck in a cafe. Nothing new except for the 3D. That was my synopsis. Can you tell I wrote these?
That's a great synopsis. The acting in this one is so bad. Um, and the God, yeah, not great performances. the who's the guy with the douchey haircut, the rich guy? That guy's real obnoxious. I mean, just I felt like all these characters were pretty unlikable. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one.
Yeah, there's only two redeeming moments in this movie. One was the racist somehow getting himself lynched.
Mhm.
Like death lynched this guy. I thought that was kind of like okay, a bit on the nose, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then the lawnmower scene.
Yeah, the bottom of the pool was kinda satisfying as well, but they just you don't get to see it enough. I mean, you see the guy kinda stuck on the bottom, then the stuff splurts out, but it's like you kinda wanna see that guy get killed, but
I feel like this movie wanted to be like a mean-spirited uh horror movie,
mhm,
one where like all the bad characters are like really bad, like they're really messed up. Like even the guy on the lawnmower, he's like yelling at the kids, and then the kids go inside and then there's that whole deflection with the mother in the salon who like might get killed in the salon, but then she doesn't, and then the lawnmower spits out the rock at the last minute.
mhm, mhm,
And it's like I feel like that whole scene could have been released as like a webisode and it would have been perfect as
yeah,
like just a self-contained scene.
sure. Yeah, I could picture that as a short film,
Yeah.
that and just like how yeah, how obnoxious the kids are and how
Yeah.
she's an asshole for making these people stay late and being demanding, like, that'd be a perfect short film.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of good characterization in that one little scene. The
Mm.
problem is that the main character is like not interesting and no there aren't very many good performances in this movie and it's just very forgettable.
Yeah, I do like when that one guy's girlfriend gets squished by the tire at the beginning because that was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're outside thinking they escaped, and then here comes Tire and squishes girlfriend. So that was kind of fun. Um,
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
I felt with the bad acting because I think when I watched this one, it was the first time I saw it. Um, when I watched it this week, and I thought, yeah, after the last one, they were gonna go like, because the acting was bad. I was like, all right, there's give me more nudity in this because it has like they're kind of it's
It's that
cheesy.
kind of movie, yeah.
And then yeah, there's one scene where the guy and his girlfriend are in the apartment, and then she's standing there in her underwear, and it very clearly like zooms back so you can see her in her underwear. Like it felt like very like lazy and gratuitous. I was like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be one of those movies, and it totally wasn't.
Yeah.
So I was like,
It's
this
it wasn't even that it wasn't even good at being that kind of a horror movie.
100%, yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, yeah, it's definitely I mean, I feel like we are kind of spoiling our ratings here because we're not speaking very well of this one.
Well, I mean, it's just objectively the worst one,
Yeah.
you know? Like I don't think many fans of this franchise would disagree with that. And that doesn't happen very often. Like there isn't really like would you say what would you say is the objectively worst Friday movie?
Hmm,
The fifth one? Well, you like the fifth
no.
one, don't you?
Yeah, I do. No, I'd say probably New York is the dumbest one.
Oh, really?
Jason Takes Manhattan is pretty bad.
I can't remember my rankings. I can't remember which one when I think it was number five because that's the one that doesn't have Jason in it.
I was just looking to see because I was like, God, who's the director of this one? It's the same guy from the second movie. So,
Really?
yeah, so
Hmm.
I guess there is that kind of cheesiness in the second one as well. And
Wait. Oh, you're talking about the Final Destination
yeah,
movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Final Destination and Final Destination 2 is the same director, which, dude, talk about coming full circle. This is the same director as Snakes on a Plane. And how long have we been talking about Snakes on a Plane on this podcast? Ever since the beginning. We find, and we're gonna have to just do that movie sometime because that is a great movie.
Wow. I did not realize this was the same director as the second movie.
Yeah, he also did Homeward Bound too. So, yeah, okay,
Okay.
yeah,
This
interesting.
guy's I'm not sure this guy knows what kind of movies he wants to make.
No, he's just trying to get money.
Yeah, he's just out here trying to get paid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the second one was a lot better because he like maybe the director from the first one, James Wan.
James Wong. Yeah.
Um, Maybe he like gave him just really good notes, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna keep most of these notes, but I'm gonna liven it up a little bit.
Because yeah, the second one is drastically better than this.
Yes, I would agree.
All right.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about that one?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Let's final.
I feel like better about the movie having talked about it. It's like because like watching it, I'm just like, oh God, what a turd of a movie. But then I remember the lawnmower scene and I'm just like, but that scene's in that movie.
And here's the thing: there are still movies that I would way rather watch less than this. I would watch this over a lot of other movies too, because
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. It's a mediocre film, but it's like there are way worse movies in other franchises.
yeah. All right. Final
Hmm.
Destination 5.
Okay. An office worker named Sam has a premonition that he and his coworkers will be killed when a bridge collapses on their way to a retreat. When survivors are killed one by one, Sam discovers the mortician at the scene. He says the only way you can cheat death is to take the life of someone else and then gain whatever life they had. One of the survivors attempts to kill Sam and his girlfriend, but Sam gets the better of him. Then, in the final scene, Sam decides to take a plane trip to Paris that he's been talking about the whole movie, but the plane to Paris that he boards turns out to be Flight 180 from the first movie, making this an unexpected prequel.
Which this was a first time watch for me. Um,
Yeah.
and so at the end of it, I was like, wait a minute, like, and that because I'm looking at all the outfits they're wearing, and they don't match because this would have been you know mid to late '90s that this one's taking place, because right before because they probably filmed the first one in '98, and it feels very '98. Um, so that was one thing I was like, wait, was there no technology in this movie? Were there no, because there's cell phones in this one. Because the douchebag guy, the assistant guy, like the keeps getting the phone calls from the girls, is always on his cell phone. Because remember, like when they're on the bus, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just on this stupid company retreat with these losers, and he looks over at David Keckner, who's the boss. He's like, oh sir, not you, everyone else. And I was like, but wait a minute, there were not widely used cell phones back then. There just wasn't. So there's some continuity issues for sure. Um,
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Well,
yeah,
I mean, they had when were cell phones
mm,
big? I mean, it was 2000 was this when this movie came out, right? So,
the first one came out in 2000, so it's probably filmed in '98.
well, but I remember having a cell phone when I was in high school. And then
I
it came
did.
out when I was in high school.
I didn't know. See, I graduated in '97. I didn't
It
have a
was like
cell
it was like one of those dinky ones, like a Nokia, or no, it was actually a flip phone. I
phone.
actually had a little flip phone.
Because no, there was. I didn't get a
Why are
cell
you
phone
looking at me like that?
because I was like, I don't remember flip phones in 2000. I don't remember that at all.
I don't know, maybe it
Because
was 2000. Well,
Because everyone had the Nokia brick back then. That was the big phone. Everyone had that stupid Nokia phone that you could like run through the dishwasher and it'd be fine. You could throw it, you know, and it'd be fine.
I'm pretty
So
sure I had a cell phone when this movie came out.
the first one,
Yes.
you definitely had a cell phone when
Well,
Final
yes,
Destination
yes,
5 came out.
yes.
But you didn't use them all the time because you had to pay for minutes. Their text
Yeah, they
message,
were basically prepaid.
yeah, text messaging wasn't a thing back then either, or it was in its very
Eh,
infancy.
yeah, you could still text. You had to like it would had that little trackpad thing, and you had to like it
But
was
you
like
pay,
using when you use a remote now. Like if
sure.
you use the Roku and you have to like type
Yeah,
something
yeah,
in.
yeah. But I mean, you paid for every text, you paid for every minute. They were expensive because I
Yeah.
remember my first phone. I mean, I had a phone and it basically just like sat in my glove box in my car in case of an emergency because I couldn't afford to use it.
Yeah, you would actually get mad at friends who kept texting you because like
Yeah.
they would be using your
Yeah,
minutes.
because you'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, I only have like 50 texts this month left or something like that. So, yeah. So that's something that at the end of this, I was like, hang, because I don't know, it was kind of fun to tie it together, but again, I don't think they thought that felt like they added it on later. Like
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you know what we should do? So I didn't like the fact that they did that, but I don't, I think this is better than the Final Destination. I did think these characters were pretty unlikable. I didn't really like any of the characters for the most part in this, but there were still some fun kills, and I- it was still okay. But I will say my favorite kill in maybe all of the Final Destination movies is in this one,
Oh yeah. And what is that?
gymnastic kill.
Oh yeah, that was pretty. That was another one where you're just like, well, how's it going to happen?
Because they're setting up with the tack on the parallel bar, and then that doesn't happen, and then yeah, the powder into the thing, which distracts the other girl, which then this, and just the way she squishes when she lands, like,
And
and
it's so sudden.
I like how
Like
someone's like, "Call 911," like, bitch, that ain't gonna help her. So yeah, um, that's a fun one. I like that
yeah,
kill.
but I liked the tie-in with the originals. I was like, this was the one where they didn't spend a lot of time with the how to cheat death's design and stuff like that. It was just kind of like people were getting killed off and they're going, gee, maybe we're cursed or something, and they didn't really like they didn't become gumshoes about the whole thing in this
Hmm.
one. And I actually kind of appreciated that because it's
Yeah.
like we've done that before, right? We already know how this goes. And
Hmm.
so how about we have a different group of people who just doesn't know what's happening and they're just we're seeing them deal with it.
Hmm.
And so I thought that freed it up to be a bit more of its own thing. Um
Hmm. Yeah, no, I like again, I like the kind of tie into that fact that it's Flight 180, but I don't think they thought enough about it because it felt like it just kind of added on. Because again, like with the technology and some of the things and things that didn't were different back then. Um, but and this movie does have some fantastic kills. I love the whole suspension bridge part. And like when you think
yeah.
that girl's gonna survive, and then the car falls on her, and then David Koechner getting the boiling oil and getting melted, like yeah, there's some really fun kills. The massage parlor one, which is like you just want that guy to get killed, and then he falls, and all the acupuncture needles go through him, and then
Yeah,
that
that was another one where you're like, how is this one gonna end? And then it's just like, oh,
the
statue,
Buddha
statue. Yeah.
the Buddha falls on his head. So some great kills in this one. The LASIK one made me think about when I had LASIK because and
Oh,
she's
I
laying
forgot
there.
about that one.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun.
That was pretty terrifying, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, pretty fun movie.
I agree that the gymnastics one was probably the best one from this movie.
It's a great kill, man.
It's very well executed.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
Okay.
Talk
And we're now brought up to the
bloodlines.
present.
Yep.
Uh,
Are we gonna do a little spoiler warning here, just in case, or?
yes.
All right.
From here on out, we are going to spoil the new movie. So if you have not seen the new movie, you can stop listening. We might put like a little uh timestamp of where you can like skip to if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't even mention we're gonna talk about another show here coming up
We
pretty soon.
are. Yep.
Because we gotta because
Yep.
there's a certain show had its season finale very recently, like a week ago.
Hmm.
So we gotta talk about that.
Yep.
But first, Final Destination Bloodlines. In 1968, a young woman named Iris is invited to the grand opening of a high-rise restaurant by her soon-to-be fiance, Paul, but she has a premonition that the whole thing collapses. This time, the premonition turns out to be a reoccurring dream that Iris's granddaughter, Stefani, is having in the present day. She eventually learns that her grandmother really did prevent the tower from collapsing and that death has been trying to catch up with everybody that was saved, including their descendants. Iris's journal leads them to the mortician, who explains all the rules once again to the group. There are many twists, but the film ends with the death with Death getting Stefani and her little brother at the same time, with a train derailment and a few logs. Uh, yeah, I want to hear your first thoughts on this one, this delightful little movie.
What I will, I mean, I'll just start with saying, and again, we've been kind of obviously giving away our ranking as we've been talking about this. This is my favorite movie in the franchise. What
Yeah,
I think it's a fantastic movie. The acting's good. Some really clever kills. I like how kind of expansive this flashback to Iris was, at the because I'm a sucker for the kind of 40s and 50s time anyways. But yeah, like 1960s Iris, going to this glamorous thing, and then she starts seeing these weird little signs like when she's going up on the elevator, and then you got that shithead kid there. And but just the vibe of the party, and then her kind of freak out, and then it's a pretty long scene of the glass cracking and then people falling, and then it goes to present day, so you don't really know kind of what's happening at that point, and then you meet her, you don't know it's her granddaughter at this point. And I enjoyed the movie. I thought there were some great kills, some fun kills in it. Yeah, I liked the I liked the cast. I thought it had a really pretty good cast. It's some good performances. Yeah, I like the hell out of this movie. But I did allude to earlier, Tony Todd, man, his last performance, it's hard to see him like that. Because this is how long have we been watching him? For 30 years, in horror films, and to see him, I mean, I'm so glad that he was able to be part of it, but
yeah,
still, like, to see him that frail, and like, something about Tony Todd that's always so iconic is his voice, but to hear like
yeah.
he just, at this point, this close to his demise, I mean, he just didn't have that in him anymore. Because, I mean, he must have died really shortly after this, after filming this, because he died in 24. So, um, yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been long. But yeah, sorry, I'm hogging here, but yeah, I really like this movie, man. I didn't expect it to be my favorite. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I didn't either. I heard a lot of good buzz about it. I'm glad I saw it in the theater because I got to get the, audience involvement for
Mm,
the moments that were meant to be entertaining.
hmm.
And I go back to the crowning achievement of this movie is the subverting of expectations because it's like, where do you go from here with this franchise? Is
Hmm.
probably what this movie asked. It was like, we don't want to do things that people have seen before.
Hmm.
And I think that's the best thing about the movie is that everything you see in this movie is at least an attempt to do something new and fresh. And and they succeeded. I mean, a lot of it was just uh, it's like even the stuff that where you kind of know something's coming,
Hmm.
and it's just in like the weather vane scene where
Hmm.
where you're like you already know something's going to happen, but then boom, it happens.
Hmm.
Um, I what did you didn't say your favorite kill? What is your favorite kill? Do you have one?
Um,
For me, it's not even close.
I did enjoy the MRI kill.
Yeah, that was
That
really good.
because it's also kind of slow as and then he starts getting impaled by things. So
Yeah,
I did like that. That's probably my favorite one.
for me, it's the trash compactor.
Oh, that was really because she's almost there, and then it just fucking squishes her head, dude.
Yep.
Because I mean, you see her face distorting in it, and she pulls her arm out. Like that was really good.
Like just the whole lead up to that though, like
Yeah.
where she's just like, well, I don't know, maybe the thing falls out of the tree and then the blower and then the
Hmm.
they hit a soccer ball in his face. And he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, death by soccer ball." Okay.
Yeah, and then yeah, you have
And
Eric
then the exact
humping on
same.
the then humping on the tire and smacking the tire like he's. and then it ends up not being him at all. Yeah, it's her, and she's just casually running by, and then woo,
Boop.
bonk. Yeah, that was great.
I kind of saw it happening too, like while they were talking, and then you see it all happen in the background, and you're like,
Mhm,
is that really?
mhm.
That was probably one of the best deaths in the franchise, I think.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And again, just like something about the way that they didn't move away from her face being squished. Because that's people don't want to see faces get squished, and you get to see it. Um, and
Yeah,
it was kind of, I mean, it's kind of fun that they tied into, the who's the little JB, and it's the little boy, and then it's Tony Todd, and it's like
yeah.
kind of fills in some backstory on the whole thing, and
I
how
think
he.
at some point I might have suspected it might have been
Mm,
because I'm like, what are the odds? You know?
mm.
But
And yeah, and then tying in this Iris, and that's how he learned all that he did about this is because of now this grandmother that appears in this other movie, and so that's
now I will say that my main dislike would be the plot hole of like, how do you expect me to believe that death took 57 years to do what we saw this movie do in 90 minutes. Like it's like I don't think it would take 57 years for Death to kill all these people. I think Death seems pretty resourceful.
well, yeah, because in every other movie, it's like within like a couple weeks he takes care of shit. In this one, it's like
Yeah,
but
like
I
in the
mean,
first one, it was 39 days before Death started killing people.
yeah.
And so I get there would be some time, but like 57 years?
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, what hundreds of people were supposed to die, right? Like in the
yeah.
collapse of the tower. But yeah, I mean, I think that's when you just kind of have to suspend disbelief a little bit on
Yeah.
because.
Well, and like I usually I can do that more easily if they kind of attempt to explain it and
Mhm,
they I think the best way they attempted to explain it in my opinion was with the penny. Like it's like a
mhm,
reference to luck. Like maybe some of these people just got lucky,
mhm,
and obviously she got lucky, but like that was another thing I was confused about. It's like, okay, they're kind of implying that the penny had something to do with why she survived all that time, and that had more to do with why she survived than her being in that actual house. And the reason why the main character and her little brother don't end up surviving is because they don't have the penny with them.
mhm,
Like the penny kind of embodies like good fortune and good luck. And the reason why they didn't escape death is because they didn't have that on them. And that maybe like that kind of introduces the possibility that like we never actually explore how luck works in these franchises. Like
mhm,
maybe luck works the same way as death, like
mhm,
and if they could figure out how that works, maybe the next movie can explore that,
mhm.
and but I feel like it was just a little bit light on that in this one. So towards the end of the movie, I kind of felt like the suspension of disbelief was waiting a little bit for me.
Sure.
Um, and again, I thought, the writing was great and the acting was great by Jenna Ortega. And I just thought it was, it was a cut above the rest in the sense in at least the aspect of the scenarios they created, the deaths that they created,
Mhm,
and I can see why this is a fan favorite, like instant favorite. It just had a little bit of that cosmology lacking for me.
sure.
And it obviously it wasn't as dark as the first one or the third one,
Yeah.
which I think maybe that's just more my speed. Like I like
Mhm,
the more dark comedy kind of stuff.
mm.
Um, but could just be a matter of taste. I don't know.
I was looking at the director, because I was curious what else he directed, and it's 2 directors that worked on this. So Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein. Let's time travel back to 2018. One of my absolute favorite movies of that year that I know I talked about on my list was Freaks with starring Emil Hirsch,
Mm,
the kind of superhero one that I felt like could have been in the
yeah.
Brightburn universe. Same
Yeah.
director.
Okay.
So I didn't realize that. and I was just kind of looking through the cast a little bit too, and I was like, where do I know that kid from? Charlie, the Stephanie's little brother. He's in one of my all-time favorite thrillers, Wind River. And I was trying to figure out he's the little kid from Wind River, which I hope you've seen Wind River.
Yeah, I have, but it's been a long time.
Ooh, that's I mean, I'm pretty sure in our thriller episode I talked about that may have been that is in my top 2 or 3.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, it's Taylor Sheridan movie, Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. Um, so yeah, same kid from that, but yeah, I thought the cast in this was really pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I liked the whole movie. I expected kind of crap. I wasn't looking forward to watching it, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
I will say if you can go along with the death is going after their family tree and they're doing it in the order in which they were in order of their birth, um it lays out a plot, and then the the plot twist of the one dude being not actually part of the family tree.
Hmm.
And like, but they still gave him a whole scene where he almost died.
Hmm.
And it's like everything about this movie. They're just like, how can we really mess with people?
And they really ramped up like the over exaggeration of with like the chain swinging and then locking on his septum piercing. Like they really ham it up in that one. Um,
Yeah.
and then he survives it. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
it,
it's almost reminiscent of the second movie where the get the dude in the kitchen, where
mhm.
it's just like, this is just like he could die like seven different kind of ways.
Right, fire. Yeah, I mean, yeah, hand in the sink. The garbage disposal. No, it doesn't die. Makes it out. Makes it out. Makes it
And then he just
downstairs.
shows up the next day, not a scratch on him. He's just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, drinking a what, like a juice box or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, his whole dialogue in that scene, because that's the scene that leads up to the trash compactor thing.
Hmm.
And the whole and that's also reminiscent. This movie has a lot of callbacks. Actually, I'm thinking about even
Hmm.
more callbacks that just as we're talking about it. But that scene also had a callback to the nail gun scene because the dialogue's very similar, where he's just like making fun of him, like you
Hmm.
can't be serious. You can't actually believe that this is happening. You really think death by soccer ball?
Hmm.
Like, and but then the worst, and I don't know. It was very fun.
Yep, agreed. Cool.
Um, all right. Why don't you go give us your rankings there, buddy?
All right. So starting from yeah, well, obviously I just said this that Bloodlines is my favorite. My number 2 is the original Final Destination. Number 3 is number 3. Um, my number 4 is part 2, followed by part 5, and then of course the Final Destination being the last and the worst.
Don't ever call it that though. We're gonna make a pact. We're gonna call it Final Destination 4.
Okay.
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 Whenever we refer to it on this show.
Okay.
We're actually not that far off. For me, the third one is my favorite. And I
Okay.
this was a really hard one because like I really did enjoy Bloodlines a lot. It was a very entertaining movie to watch, but I'm kind of going off of what movie had the biggest impact on me and has left the longest impression on me. And for in that case, I would go with the third one. And that's also kind of odd because I didn't watch that one when it came out. Because like I was so like after the second one, I was just like, okay, that was kind of silly.
Hmm.
But I just didn't have an interest in seeing the third one in the theater. But after watching it years later, I've watched it many times now, and it's just like by far my favorite
Hmm.
in this franchise. The first one's my second favorite for similar reasons. Dark in
Okay.
tone left a very big impression on me when I was, in high school when
Hmm.
it came out. And then Bloodlines, it would be my third favorite, followed by the fifth one, um, and the second one, and then of course the fourth one would be last.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean not that far off, and yeah. But like we kind of started with, like this really is a good franchise, and there are a lot of bad horror franchises, and this is better than a lot of them. Because even the worst one, I would still like if it's on TV, I'd be like, "That's okay. I'll leave it on while I'm doing other stuff around the house." I would still be okay with it on. Where there's some where it's like, if Children of the Corn Part 6 is on, it's not gonna be on because there's just yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I get what you're saying. Like a lot of slasher movie franchises, they basically end up doing what this franchise does anyway. Like at a certain point, Jason is just the embodiment of death,
Hmm.
and he's just a killing machine. There's not really a whole lot to know about his character. I mean, he has a backstory, we get it, but at a certain point in the franchise, they just drop all of that and they're just like, let's just have Jason kill a bunch of people. And that's fun,
Yeah.
that's entertaining. But I feel like Final Destination like took that concept and just stripped it down, and they basically like it's a slasher franchise without a slasher in
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
Like, which is pretty genius. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, and I kind of feel like this franchise was influential on the horror genre in
Hmm.
a lot of
Oh,
ways.
yeah, absolutely. I'd be curious. You said that there's one producer that worked on all of them, correct?
Yes. Craig Perry.
Craig Perry, and with no writing continuity though, right? No writers worked on
No.
because I'm just imagining like just the amount of work that would go in to again thinking of these kills. I'm just not that creative of a person. But a lot of effort went into doing all this. Uh, well, hang on, because I'm looking. It says films originally written by Jeffrey Riddick, and it has all the Final Destination films in there. But he's credited as original writer, not writer, but original writer. So I'm not sure. Maybe he
Hmm.
advised somewhat on them or something. I don't know.
Jeffrey Riddick. I
Yeah.
don't know. Wikipedia might be lying.
Well,
It
I'm looking.
says
I'm just looking on Letterboxd, but when I click on crew.
on Wikipedia, it says he was a screenwriter for the first one and he had the story for the second one,
Hmm.
but nothing else.
Oh, okay, yeah, it just says on IMDb, it just says characters created by Jeffrey Reddick.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's what it is.
but okay, yeah, I was just curious because again, like I'd love to see what it was like in, if there's a writer's room of people breaking down. It's like, okay, we want this guy to die like this. What is the most batshit crazy way we can do? And the craziest, what little thing has to happen for this thing to happen, for this thing to happen? Like,
I don't know, whoever came up with the nail gun scene needs like an award of some kind.
yeah,
Like I would
it,
like to meet that person because that
yeah,
was, and the trash compactor scene, like both those scenes are like perfectly executed
yeah,
for maximum enjoyment.
yep, yeah, they're really good. Cool. Yeah, and we talked about best kill. I mean, my favorite one is the gymnastics one. So,
Okay.
but yeah, nail gun is very close, and that trash compactor one was excellent. So,
Yep. And what do you think was the best premonition? I kind of have to go with the
I
first
have,
one
yeah, I have to go with the original.
because I think it's just because of the sense of suspense of
Well,
it.
yet the believability in his panic, where the other
Yeah.
ones are like, whoa, what was that? What happened? No, it's like, I mean,
Yeah, we didn't talk about the fourth one where the guy just wakes up on the bleachers and he's just like, "Hey, I think I have a feeling." And I'm like, "Bro,
yeah,
that's not."
yeah, or like, yeah, when he tries to get everyone together in the apartment and explain through what. It's like, okay, guys, here's what I think's happened. Like, I had this vision, and it's like, and the guy's like, "What are you talking?" And it's just like, no, like, Devon Sawa is sweating when he wakes up, and he starts rechecking the little things that just happened, and he goes bananas.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Best execution of that. I think
yeah,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in the third one is also pretty well done.
I
Where
think
she's
she's
like, I think her pre-premonition performance is the best pre-premonition performance because she's just like she doesn't want to get on this thing, but she also doesn't want to be like viewed as like a square that's trying to be a killjoy for everybody, and then the whole switching seats thing is way more believable
hmm
than in the original. I mean, in the original, it's just like a teen sex comedy kind
hmm
of way they did that, but like in this one, it's just kind of like, well, she's really scared and blah blah blah. Maybe you should go sit up front, blah blah blah, and have some fun. And like, there's so much to that performance that when it when she, comes back out of the premonition, it's like, I don't know. I feel like those two are probably the best executed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I
I
think she definitely has overall just one of the best performances in the entire franchise. She's just
Yes,
yeah, she's really good.
that's probably a big part of why that one is my favorite
hmm Yep.
because I you really feel it,
hmm
like she is genuinely going through something, and I think I've I think maybe as I've gotten older, I tend to appreciate that more than a lot of these sort of dumb popcorn flick horror movies that I love as well, like, again, Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah.
Like, I love those movies too.
hmm
Um, but I also sometimes want more, and the first and third movies deliver that in a way that the rest of the franchise doesn't really.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Cool. Well, that was it was fun watching those over the past week. I enjoyed doing that. It wasn't a slog to get through all of them, even on the bad moments. Like it was genuinely enjoyable watching them.
well, except for the fourth one.
Yeah,
But
but again,
it's still a mediocre film. I agree.
I would still take it over a lot of crap. But I don't watch a lot of crap anymore. Like back in the
Yeah.
days when I was watching 150 new releases a year, like, and I would watch crap. I just won't do it.
Cool, man.
All right. Well, good to see you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Let us know what you think. I'd love to know what people think about the Final Destination movies. Oh yeah, I have an awful movie that I want us to watch and review. So we will just wait for that one. I know
Okay.
Alan's really looking forward to this one. So, oh.
Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Alan, great to see you as always. And folks, tune back in. We appreciate you. Give us your feedback. And, again, thanks as always to the awesome community of podcasts and reviewers and everyone that makes these genre films so much fun and such a big part of our life. So, with that, Alan, good to see you.